Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I'm back with my fourth video in the Christmas in July series. So let's jump right in. As you can see, this is a very non-traditional colored Christmas card, but I have a lot of fun with those designs. And of course it does have snowflakes again because, like I said earlier, I love snowflakes, and by earlier I mean in a past video. But let's jump in. So I'm going to cut down some cardstock here. I have some foiled cardstock that I'm cutting down as a mat, and I am going to use some A2 sized bases for these cards. So I have A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I've cut this foiled piece down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. And then my hammer mill panel, which is this piece of cardstock, I cut that down to be about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, just because I like a thin layer for my borders. So that's kind of how I like to do it. You could of course trim it down a little more if you wanted a larger border, but I like that thin look, so that is kind of what I tend towards. And then I just double check my layers, make sure that I'm happy with how they look before I move on. Now these cards are actually inspired by my friend Marcy. She sent me a Christmas card, I think it was last year or the year before, and I loved it. So I asked her if it would be okay if I could make my own version of the card, and she said it was okay. So that is what we're doing today. So thank you so much, Marcy, for that beautiful card that you sent to my PO box. I love it. It still sits right in front of me, and I admired it all the time. So I brought in a string dots bold prints background. This is by HeroArts. I've had this in my collection for a long time. I don't know if you can still get it or not. If you can, I will have it linked and listed down below. But if you can't, I will try to find some background stamps that are similar-ish. But any background stamp would work for this and look stunning. You're just adding some texture to the background. And I am going to clear here and heat emboss it. I'm going clear because the paper is already white, so I don't need to white heat emboss it, but you could if you really wanted to, or if you didn't own clear embossing powder. But I went clear simply because I own it and because the paper is white, so I knew that that would come through after we do our ink blending on the card. So welcome to the Christmas in July series. If you are new, that just is all of July. I like to do Christmas cards. I just think it's a really fun way to break up the cards that I'm making and get a head start on my Christmas cards. I've been selling this year. I'm experimenting with selling in markets, and I have some Christmas markets coming up. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to have a bunch of Christmas cards on hand. I know they are a popular time for people to send cards, so I really wanted to make sure I had a good amount and a good variation. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm doing it. And I like making Christmas cards. I think they're a lot of fun, but I do try to have a good mix of, a more traditional color palette and a non-traditional color palette, so that if you don't celebrate Christmas, that's not your thing, or, Christmas you're not ready to make your Christmas cards yet, you could easily turn this into a birthday card, or just like a hello card or anything like that if you wanted to, or maybe a winter themed card just in general. Or if you're really into Christmas and this color palette's not your thing, you could easily adapt it to be a more traditional color palette, leaning towards more of your red and greens, or you could just do it in shades of blue. I think it would still be stunning. But you guys know, if you've been with my channel for a while, I love pinks and purples. I'm very, very drawn to them. So I find them to be a lot of fun for kind of a non-traditional Christmas card. So that is kind of where I end up leaning. But any of my cards should be easily adaptable to something different if that's what you need. I try to just make fun cards and hope that you guys will, recreate them in your own way so that it works for what you need them for. So I'm going to go in with 3 Distress Oxide ink colors. I have spun sugar that I'm going to put in the center. I want the center to have a highlight. And then I'm going to go in with worn lipstick, just kind of around the spun sugar. And then I'm going to finish off with Seedless Preserves, which is a very pink toned purple. And I think that it turns out really pretty, and I love how it looks. So I kind of went through those colors on both panels. I am creating 2 cards just because I have all my stuff out, so why not? And I'm trying to get into the habit of making 2 cards because I do get custom orders for cards. And sometimes it's, really beneficial to be making one to kind of maybe go in my market supplies, and then one to go to the order that is the custom order. So I'm trying to be, more efficient with what I'm creating as I'm experimenting with markets throughout this year. So I've been having a lot of fun. But yeah, so I did go through my colors twice just to get a good vibrant look to them. And of course you can blend them more if you like it. They will dry back, so always keep that in mind with the oxides. They go on incredibly vibrant, but they do dry back a little bit, so they're not quite as bold. They're still fairly vibrant, but not quite as vibrant as what you see right now. And then I brought in a clean piece of paper towel just to buff off any of the ink that's sitting on top of my embossing powder. That will help bring it back to that white color right away. And you see on this second panel, I missed stamping the top right corner. It's not going to matter. I'll just cover it with a snowflake later, but you know, it happens, and it's perfectly okay. Not a big deal at all. And then I have my spritz in my hands now. I was waiting for these to come in. So I'm kind of gently just adding them to cards to see what they do and really kind of get a play with them. And I have been loving how they look. So don't be surprised if you see the spritz pop up on my channel a ton, because they are glitter and they are beautiful, and I love all the shiny things. So do not be surprised. And then to go on top of these stunning panels, I have a bunch of the Simon Says Stamp Snowflake dies. I think in the end I used 5. I think I cut out 6, but I only used 5 of them. And so I have the Daphne, Grace, Aurora, Sophie, and Harmony dies. So I will have them all linked and listed down below. So if you're at all interested, I'm pretty sure they're all designed by Christina Warner, and she does some of the most stunning snowflake dies. And I, have to collect them because I love snowflake dies. So I do have a fairly good collection going on of these snowflakes, and I just love how they look. And then for my sentiment, I also brought in a Simon Says Stamp die. This is the Handwritten Merry Christmas. I've had this die a really long time. So again, if anything is not available anymore, I will go and find you something similar and link that down below if you're at all interested. They are affiliate links because, it would be nice to make a couple of bucks if you're shopping already and you want to use one of my links. It's just a little payout to me. It's like a commission, but at no extra cost to you. So if you're already shopping and you're inspired by something I've used and you don't mind, that would be phenomenal. They're always just in the description below the video. And if you're ever curious at what something I'm using is, it will always be down there as well. So feel free to just take a gander if you'd like. And then I'm bringing in the other snowflakes here and just going to use those. So as I said, I do have 6 snowflakes. I don't end up using one of them, but I did have to cut them all out twice because I am making it 2 cards. I'm just showing it to you one time. And this is a white glitter cardstock. So I cut the snowflakes out of some foiled cardstock, and then I cut them out a second time, or like the other snowflakes out with the white glitter cardstock. And I think that they turned out stunning. I love how these cards turned out. They are very, very vibrant. So of course that to me is perfect. I love vibrant cards. They just, if they're eye-catching, if they're eye-catching and, they make you smile, then they are right up my alley, and I have so much fun with them. So I've been having a lot of fun, especially with the Christmas cards, because I think you kind of expect a more traditional palette. So it's always a little exciting to see, bright, vibrant colors with the Christmas cards. But yeah, you can, like I said, alter this to be in a color palette that you prefer to if this is not your jam. This would be beautiful in like a monochromatic shades of blue as well, I think, with the foil and the white glitter. I think that would also be stunning. So if pinks and purples aren't really your thing, I think blues would be really, really pretty. So I'm just kind of trying to work out the glitter cardstock. I do find that I struggle to get glitter cardstock to cut nicely. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what, but I do kind of struggle. So this is kind of something that I've been doing here. I'll hold it against my glass mat so that it doesn't, like start to rip the paper, but then I can kind of pop out the little pieces that are stuck, and then I have an easier time kind of removing it from the cardstock without ripping off these kind of delicate pieces to these snowflakes. So it's kind of what I've been trying to do instead of, trying to force them, because you saw how the foil ones came out. They came out incredibly easily, whereas these glitter ones, I had to just kind of work them a little bit more, but I think the payoff is completely worth the effort. So I'm perfectly okay with it. And then for my sentiment, I did cut it once out of that foil cardstock, and then I cut it 3 times out of just a white, I think it's that leftover hammer mill pieces actually, because I like that white cardstock. And I just layered that up so that I could give the sentiment a touch more visual weight, and it would, be more eye-catching on the card panel. The only thing about this is that it can be a little bit tedious to glue these little pieces because they are so delicate. You could try double-sided adhesives. The only reason I don't is because I find that trying to remove the release paper, it stretches out the word, and then I have a harder time getting it to line up because these letters are so delicate. They're so small. I find it way easier to just finagle my glue and then just clean up any kind of glue that's oozing out around the edges. You do have to kind of work with it a bit more, but I just find that, I've tried the double-sided adhesive sheets. So you put it on before you die cut it, then you die cut it and you can just remove it. But I had a hard time keeping the letters from getting really spread out when removing the backing sheets. So I've just found that a fine tip on my art glitter glue really works well, and that's kind of what I've been doing instead. But do whatever works for you. Both ways will work really well. It's just if you have an easier time getting the backing sheets off, maybe that would be really an easier way for you to do it. But so far, I've leaned towards liquid glue. I don't mind it. It's pretty much my favorite of all times, just because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room, and I tend not to line things up perfectly the first time I do things, so I kind of like that extra bit of time to just move things around. But so that is the sentiment, and then we're going to kind of jump into building all the fun layers of this card. I'm going to use some liquid glue and some foam tape because why not? You guys know I like dimension, and I like snowflakes. I hope these cards aren't too similar. This card and of course Monday's card from last week, I did a snowflake themed card as well. That one's with alcohol inks, and it's not the same. It's just they both have snowflakes. So hopefully my cards are different enough that you guys still find them exciting to see as I put them together. And then hopefully you jumped into the live stream. I do a live stream now every second Thursday. So we did one on the 11th, and then the next one will be next Thursday. So not the Thursday this week, but the Thursday after. And I've been having a lot of fun with them. They are so great to get to know you guys. And, we chat about random things, and we just have a fun time. And I always hope that my live streams, all of my videos actually, but my live streams especially, come across like you're just crafting with a friend. That's kind of was always my goal with my channel. I didn't want it to feel scripted. I didn't want it to feel like we're not friends. That was always my aim, was to make it feel like you were crafting with a friend, because as a person who obviously loves to craft, I didn't really know anybody that I could craft with. There wasn't much of a crafty group in my little town. I was in a little town when I started, and there was one kind of mixed media group, but apparently it was full and new people were not welcome, so you couldn't join in. And so I really wanted my channel to be a place where you could come, you could craft, you could learn, you could share your life with me if you wanted to, if you're comfortable, and you just have a friend that you could, check in with. So if you have a chance and if you can, jump into the lives and come and say hi. We have a lot of fun, the ladies that come and it's been a really great experience getting to know everybody and kind of getting just to feel like you're not crafting out there by yourself. So you can come and work on a project, you can come and just chat, you can come in and just say hi, whatever you have time for. They're always, so far, every second Thursday at 3 p.m. PST, because I live in Pacific Standard Time. And I always have the thumbnail ready early so that you can see what time zone it is in for you if you want to join in and you're not totally sure. So if you have the time and you want to, by all means, please do. I would love to have a chat with you and get to know you. So by all means, please jump in and come visit. But so now we're just building the card, and you kind of see that I've laid out my snowflakes just across the panel. They're all flat. So that's what I meant when I said that I wanted the sentiment to have a little more visual weight. It's very subtle, but when you look at the design, because the sentiment stands up higher, hopefully that kind of gives you that extra little bit of visual weight that pulls your eye there and kind of gives you something to focus on first, and then your eye can kind of move around the card. It is a little hard to see because you have some white on white here, so the camera doesn't do this card justice. Even the pictures, this card in person is stunning. Sadly, I did not capture it well in photography. That's something I'm working on is photography. So That's something I'm kind of trying to learn, because if you guys have been with my channel for a little while, you know that I'm working on opening my own little shop, my own little sticker shop and stationery shop, and I have to practice my photography. And so, you know, it's something that I'm working through and kind of trying to take some courses on, and I wear many hats, and sometimes I'm struggling a little bit with one of them, and photography is one of those things. So that is something that I need to practice more. But yeah, these cards in person are stunning, and sadly the pictures and when they're laying like this, it just doesn't do it justice. You'll see when I hold them up at the end how phenomenal they are. But yeah, this is a really fun card. So again, Marcy, thank you so much for inspiring this one from me. Our cards aren't the same, though they have some similar features, but her card was what stemmed this design. So that is pretty cool. And thank you so much for being okay with me kind of using your original idea to create something pretty fun. And then of course, Mist has to come and just make sure that I put my gems down properly. I'm just adding a gem to the center of the snowflakes, and then I added one just up in that top right corner just to kind of fill in a little bit of that space, because I want an uneven number. You guys know that I prefer uneven numbers when it comes to designs. It's more appealing to the eye, so that is what I tend towards. So I just added one little gem up in that extra right hand corner up there, so that could kind of fill in that little bit of space there. But yeah, so that's kind of what I came out with this for these cards. I did end up actually adding a little bit of something on the inside of the card. I'll show you at the end, but it was just a cut off strip of that holographic paper. I love this paper. I honestly think that this pack I originally might have gotten from like Michael's or something. I've had this pack of foil paper forever, and I always forget that I have it. So bringing it out for this card design was a lot of fun because it's so pretty. So I don't know why I don't reach for it more often, because I think it would be stunning with any color palette. So I'm going to have to integrate it into my regular crafting stuff because it's just really pretty and really fun. But for whatever reason, I just forget that it's there. And you know what, honestly, I don't reach for silver very often. And because this holographic is kind of a silver base, that's probably one of the reasons I do tend towards gold more. So I'll have to, work in this holographic a bit more so that I can kind of get a play for it, because it's really pretty and a lot of fun. So but yeah, so now I'm adding some thin foam tape. This is the Big Mama foam tape from Simon's Stamp. It is phenomenal. You guys know, if you've been with my channel a while, I love this stuff. It's so great. It's thin. It's like a 1/16 of an inch. So it's incredibly thin, but it adds a little bit of dimension, a little bit more depth. And then, yeah, it's easy to mail because it doesn't add a ton of bulk, even though it's adding some dimension. So it is by far my favorite foam tape. I've also used the 3M foam tape, but I have a hard time getting that in Canada. Or I found it, but it's like $80 for a roll. So I'm kind of like, that's a bit pricey for some foam tape. So, and it's just not easy to find either. So I kind of have just leaned towards the Big Mama foam tape from Simon's Stamp. I have heard that Michael's actually sells a foam tape now. That's the only crafty store I have. If you guys don't know, I'm Canadian, and we don't have like Joann's. We don't have any of those. We just have Michael's. And so I've heard that they're doing a foam tape. I saw it on the internet, like on their website, but it looked really thick. So I haven't like gone and seen it in person. I don't generally shop at Michael's. I try to support my local small craft booking store. But I buy what I can where I can when I can. So it just depends on who has what I need when I'm trying to look for it. But yeah, so these are the cards that came out. I love them. I'm so excited with how they came out. They are stunning. I hope you guys enjoyed them too. Please leave me a like, leave me a comment. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm slowly growing the channel, and it's just really exciting to have people come back and enjoy what I'm creating. And I would love to have you if you're at all interested. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.